he didn't come over for the English folk scene. He came over to do a play for the BBC. The play was called Madhouse on Castle Street. The guy who was the director, Phillip Saville, had seen him, I think, he'd done this concert at Town Hall in New York. He'd done other concerts as well, but that was the one that made people sit up and take notice. There's the critic at the New York Times, a man called Robert Shelton, spotted him and just raved. And I imagine that Phillip Saville was at that concert, and if he wasn't, he'd seen him at gigs and thought he was fabulous, had fabulous presence, which he does. And he had him over to play the part of this character called Lenny in Madhouse on Castle Street. And there was a big misunderstanding, because when he came over, he didn't realise that he was supposed to learn lines and do acting and stuff. And he just said, "I don't do acting and stuff. I sing and I write songs and sing." So what they did was they brought in David Warner, the actor, to do the part of Lenny. And David Warner had just blown them all away at the RSC. I think he'd just done a Hamlet that had riveted all and sundry. And Bob just became this character, Bob, who sat on the stairs and sang. He sang his usual songs. He sang "Blow It in the Wind," for instance, but he sang all these other songs. And they'd given him songs to sing, and he'd rewritten them. And some of them were hysterical. "Lady Margaret's belly is wet with tears, nobody's been on it for 27 years. And it's called "The Swan on the River." It was just... He's absolutely deadpan. But it's a really mischievous bugger. Well, he's very down to earth. He's a very ordinary bloke. I mean, that's what people find it difficult to understand. He's a totally ordinary bloke with an extraordinary talent, but his feet are absolutely firmly on the ground. And the idea of being an icon is about as far away from anything he could possibly imagine or wish for than you can possibly imagine. Oh God, yeah. I mean, he made. It's not just me. It's just everybody. I mean, I don't think that ever enough attention has been paid to the change that occurred to his writing after he came to England. He'd half recorded Freewheelin', Bob Dylan, and he finished it when he got back. And one of the songs he did was he wrote after, well, either during or after, was. I think Boots of Spanish Leather, I'm pretty sure. Girl from the North Country, certainly, because that's based on Scarborough Fair, which I used to sing, and Bob Dylan's Dream, and possibly some others, but I don't know about that. But you really hear the difference when in Times They Are Changing, because the tunes become much more anthemic, and his words, he just sort of... I mean, he really let go with the words. With the melodies, he becomes much more anthemic, and you can hear the English stuff kicking in. Oh, I don't think so. No, he was already doing all that over in the States. He'd written all sorts of songs. If you listen to some of the bootleg tapes, some of the stuff he did before he came to England, 61 and early 62. It's full of it. It's full of... Because the civil rights movement was really very strongly underway in the States, and a lot of his writing reflected that. There was a thing called... He did one called Hollis Brown, which isn't a civil rights song. He did one called Emmett Till, which is... that's just two songs. But, I mean, no, that what gets called the protest element was always there. But his tunes became grander. You know, when he did things, when he came over in '64, and he was doing stuff like Chimes of Freedom Flashing, fabulous song, and when the ship comes in, stuff like that. That's as a direct result. The way those songs were written is to do with coming to England, but the subject matter is very much American, and very much that was already there. It was already happening before he came to England.